Hello everybody and welcome to the Sweeney Show, Business and Law Podcast. Joining us here today is Barry Hennebry of Hennebry Financial Services. Barry, you're very welcome.
Thank you very much, Dave.
Barry is a financial advisor in the finance industry for quite a long time, and Barry's going to talk about financial planning, pensions and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
So Barry, just want to, I suppose, give us a big background on your own business and how long you're in business and how long is Hennebry Financial family business, is it?
It is. Well, I suppose my father would have been retired about 2 years ago. He would have been in the industry, in the business, roughly about 25 years plus.
So based in Cork?
Yes, based in Cork. So I suppose I made a decision to kind of come into the business around 2006. I started January 2006 . And
did you have did you have a banking experience before that, or were you in financial services all along?
I did. I suppose I started initially in the old Irish Permanent. I was a customer advisor there in '98, and I then went from there to Permanent TSB Finance. At the time, they were on the motor side of things, so I went out onto the roads, which was great experience for me, just to get out there and on the ground and meeting people. And then I went to I was offered a position with Bank of Ireland Finance within 12 months. So I with the Toyota Finance at the time, it was basically based in around Cork, Kerry, Limerick, on the road again, just servicing the Toyota dealerships and on the motor finance side of things. And made a decision then around 2005 that I wanted to join the father in the business, and took the leap and began in January '06.
And so he's since retired, and
he's retired about 2 years. Yeah, exactly. And my brother-in-law was recently came in as an advisor, roughly about 10 months ago.
So I suppose we had a recession, we're on an upcycle. I suppose the recession, is it over? We're kind of seeing I suppose a lot of economic activity, and people seem to have a lot more money, and the property market is moving. But behind all that, people are kind of supposed to make everyday short-term decisions about their finance, but they don't really think about the long-term implications. Or where do you come in, like financial planning and all that? What's
Yeah, I mean, you said it there. The things are, there's certainly a bit of an improvement around the place economically. People seem to have a bit more, I suppose, cash in the pocket, so to speak, and they're probably looking more so at their finances and maybe planning more so today than previously. So where I come in is I sit down and I'd advise on if they have disposable income and they're in a position to maybe plan for retirement, or maybe plan for a holiday, or long-term deposit for a mortgage, etc. That I'd sit with them and maybe put some recommendations in place and advise accordingly. So.
And what's part of the review is that you take, you assess their income and what their expenditure is, and if say they have built up some cash assets, that it may be better valued, not just leave it in a deposit account, maybe invest that, would it be in shares or a pension scheme or something like that, is it?
Yeah, exactly, absolutely. I suppose, you mentioned their deposit rates. I suppose currently they'd be at historic lows, so I suppose that maybe leaving it in a credit union or in a bank account mightn't be, I suppose, there's other more beneficial areas, maybe if they're willing to save long term, which would be in the area of managed funds. So that would be, you'd pick a fund, say for example €50,000, you happen to save it up, that rather than leave it in your deposit account where you might be earning less. What would you be earning? Less than 1%? Probably anywhere from 0.1 to 0.4%.
Yeah, that if you were willing to leave that for a period of time, it would be about like a 5-year term. Would it be something like that, or would?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's two areas. There'd be the regular saving and then the lump sum. So I suppose recommended time frame for saving, and for particularly on the lump sum investment and regular, would be at least a minimum of 5 years. So again, it's all to do with planning. So if you're, the earlier you plan,
it depends your age and your position in life, or your stage.
Exactly. So if you have a goal to maybe buy your first home you know, don't wait till 12 months beforehand to decide to put a few you know, a regular payment away. Plan in advance and roughly 5 years out is a recommend.
What's the, I won't say typical, what is the kind of age profile of someone that should have a financial plan? Or is it somebody, like, you know, say starting out, heading to your pension retirement years, or is it something you should review every 3 to 5 years, or what's the best, the optimum?
Yearly. I mean,
Yearly?
annual
Really,
is what we do. I mean, we with all of our clients, we provide a full financial review. You know, I suppose it's no obligation involved. We offer it to them as a service, okay? But I mean, it's important that anyone that has a financial product is to maybe stay on top of it, review it constantly, because people's needs change over time, and it's there's no harm to sit with people like myself and just to.
And you think on an annual basis, which everybody should be doing?
Absolutely,
Wow.
I think it's important, particularly when it comes to maybe. In the investment side of things and pension plans, because, you know, should there be any change in market activity when it comes to return, it's important that clients are aware of it, and that's where we come into it.
And part of then, I suppose, the financial products, so you'd have maybe your pension, you'd have a life assurance, you could have critical illness cover, all these kind of stuff. Is it? Is that are they things you recommend for everybody? Is there certain products that you should have, or what when you do your financial assessment and you, like, say 35-year-old couple, say mid-30s, married couple, young kids, and, you know, good jobs, regular income. What's, say they have bought their first home, so they're planning for the future. So, what's the kind of things that you would advise those people, or what's the products that they should need?
Again, yeah, absolutely great question, and I suppose that would be, again, a case of sitting down, capturing some information. Even just listening to you there now, initially my thought would be, have the protection in place should they die in the morning, God forbid, or become seriously ill, particularly with myself, for example, 2 young children, 6, 7 and 6. I knew that, I know that if I wasn't around, okay, and if my income's there, or my wife's income wasn't coming into the household, it would have a fairly detrimental impact, you know, particularly on the kids when they're that age and they're dependent. But
even, I suppose, like, debt is the ultimate, of course, but like a critical illness where you can't work and your income is affected, that you should have cover for that, isn't it?
Absolutely, and particularly self-employed individuals. It would be like myself. I know that, you know, should I be out sick long term, you know, no one's going to pay me. You know what I mean? So it's important, even more so for self-employed individuals, just to have maybe something in place that replaces the income, so to give them the, I suppose, the financial freedom to maybe recover from any illness they might have, without having the financial burden as well as the physical and that, you know. So. And
then, like, someone in their 30s, like definitely their 20s and your 30s, they start to think about a pension. They still think, like, what is this pension? It sounds just in the future as never going to have, but also has this connotation of old, and, you know, like what age is the optimal age to start a pension? Or, like, that, take the example, that couple living in their mid-30s, is that too late, too early? Like, is there such a thing, or what should they do? How does a pension work, I suppose? Yeah,
look, I suppose first of all, it's never too late. It's never too early, and it's never too late in my book, you know. Obviously, I suppose each person has to weigh up what their, you know, their own intention would be at retirement. So, I mean, effectively, it's a marathon, not a sprint with a pension. So I suppose you're effectively trying to supplement your income at retirement. So you're putting a plan in place so that when you reach, say, 60, 65, whatever age you wish to retire, that you have an income built up, a pot, so to speak, where you can draw an income from that for the rest of your life.
Outside of any kind of government income or state pension or whatever.
And then
is that done then, the actual practicality of it? Is that like just taken from your wages at source? It kind of get matched? Can your employer pay a contribution, or how is it all? I know there's probably so many products out there, but in broad strokes, how does it actually work?
Yeah, there is, and like, I suppose everyone's needs are different, so that's again the personal touch comes in, where you sit and maybe do the review and I suppose capture each individual's needs. But just to go back to your, I suppose, an employer, there is no legal obligation on an employer to have a pension scheme or to contribute to a pension scheme. But They do, I suppose, one would have to provide the facility, say, for their employees to contribute to a scheme through what's called payroll deduction, so through the payroll, so it comes off their salary.
Okay.
So there is an onus on the employer to provide that service or that area to the employee, and to allow, I suppose, appropriate time off for he or she to sit with people like myself
Okay.
to set up that type of scheme.
And if, say, now I know there's different types of pensions, defined benefit and all this kind of stuff, contributory and what that, but if, say, I start paying into a pension, does that crystallise or does that come to fruition at a certain date in the future, to say 60 or 65, or can I ever claim the money back out of a pension? Just say I needed, something happened and I wasn't protected properly. Like, is it that's your pension money ring fence and that's it?
Correct, absolutely. I mean, there are areas, I suppose, in the whole idea is of a pension scheme is just going back to my point regarding a marathon. So it is long term. I suppose there are scenarios where one could retire, take early retirement in the event of ill health. Say if one was diagnosed just with a serious illness or so, I suppose the scheme rules could allow them to retire early. Now, obviously, whatever's in the fund at that particular time might be lower than expected. Should one want to work longer, but generally, I suppose generally the retirement ages tend to be between 60, 65. So, but from an occupational pension scheme, one can draw a scheme from 50 age 50 onwards.
All right, okay. And is there any optimal percentage of what your current wage is now? So say that person in their 30s again, and then they want to retire at 65. I think that's kind of
that's kind of considered
benchmarking, maybe even later.
Age, yeah.
So like they could potentially pay into this for 30 years. And then I suppose behind that, then their mortgage is such an extent that hopefully that's finished at 65 or whatever it might be. So they don't have that expense every month. Is there an optimal percentage of your current wage that you want to be replaced in retirement, or is it just like, oh shit, I've reached 65 now, I'm actually earning 25% of what I was earning a month ago when I was 64 when I was working? Like, is there parameters there or percentages there?
There is, and again that boils down into the review, because what we do in the review is we capture, and again the driving factor really throughout the review is the income. Okay, and what percentage of the income or would one want or feel the need to live at retirement? So again, just going back to your point, so if someone in their early 30s earning say 40,000 euro per annum, so they, whatever their net take home pay is, one of the questions we ask is how much of that would you, if you were to retire tomorrow, how much of this income would you feel you'd need should you retire in the morning? And again, and you mentioned, which was a great point, because at retirement, one would like to think that they have their debt-free, say, and also have a certain lifestyle or different quality of life still there. People might have plans, long-term plans to maybe live abroad. Yeah. Okay, I've come across individuals who plan to retire in another country and set up shop there and enjoy their retirement there. So that you factor all these things in the review, and then obviously. We then would recommend what one would have to begin a pension at, say what figure, and then going back to my point about an annual review, maybe looking at the figure going in every year and just deciding is there maybe an allowance to put more into it or what have you, so they're flexible that way as well. Yeah, well listen, Barry, thank you very much for your time today. I think that was very interesting. I think for me anyway, the main takeaway is we should be doing annual reviews rather than, like, I think it's an Irish mentality, you kind of do these reviews maybe to get your mortgage and you say, oh, I must sort out my life insurance and all that kind of stuff. Yes. Then you leave it and forget about it. Absolutely, and as I said, it's never too late either. But I think particularly on the life insurance and the critical illness, there is this kind of still mentality that I'll be fine. Sure. And that's okay for people to think that, but it's no harm in having a look to see what's out there. Yeah. Because plans can be tailored within people's budget as well. And again, we review them annually based on their current income, because incomes could change as well. So you want to, what's good maybe today might be mightn't be as good maybe the following year or the year after. So it's important just to stay in touch. And
That's great.
That's where we come in, you know.
Great. So if anyone wanted to get in touch with Barry, how would they contact you? What's the best way?
Well, the best way would be, I suppose, you could ring us.
Okay. There's actually people. We forget there's still a telephone.
Yeah, exactly.
Social media.
We're very much, and I suppose a lot of stuff.
Sorry, what's your phone number?
My phone number is 087.
Yeah.
It's mobile's always way to get me 1220526.
Yeah, we put that up on the screen as well for anyone who wants it.
Absolutely. And we're also I suppose very much face to face.
Yeah.
Again, I know we're living in an online world, but in my industry, I think it's very important to get in front of people.
Build a personal relationship and get an assessment on it. Yeah.
You know, even recently, I call to people at night time, etc.
Around their own lifestyle.
So we kind of get the clients around
Sure,
their
and I think when you're talking about products like this, you know, there's a real reassurance when you meet person face to face, the professional. I think the online world is very easy and handy, but you can't beat the old school traditional handshake and.
Absolutely, and I suppose we also, it's of benefit to our clients when it comes to claim, also, because you know it's great dealing with the clients, but when they actually really need us, we're there in relation to putting a claim through, because that can be daunting. Maybe someone has a serious illness, or there's a death in the family, maybe a wife or a husband has passed, and they need to submit their claim to claim their benefits. So
and you would be part of that process as well?
I absolutely, and that's crucial for me as a follow-up, in that it can be hard, for families.
Of course, because they're going through a stressful situation anyway,
and there is a bit of a process involved. So with the consent of the client, I can take the hassle from them and just deal with the claim from start to finish, and just literally have the funds put into their account.
Great.
And it just leaves them to I suppose more.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, Barry, listen, thank you very much for your time today, and if anyone again wants to contact Barry, we'll put his details up on the screen. Barry, very best luck to you. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.